Morning, y'all. Okay. Well, I just feel like I feel better when I'm actually doing something against this agenda. So I wanted to go through some of the posts that I've done lately on social media. So this is one I just put up today. And the circus continues 10 months on. So how long are the masked tards going to keep wearing muzzles? 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, forever? You just no longer have a face. All the while, you're simply being punked by your government officials. So this dude over here has no mask on, right? And he's around people. And this is the Department of Justice. And watch this. Oh, shoot. He gets the mask on, walks over to the podium, and this is what they're doing later. This is a fucking circus. Thought that was good, and the music fit. I saw this yesterday. So, Governor Cuomo says he's going to review the plan to convert Midtown Manhattan offices into residential apartments as just 10% of New York City's workers return, and a third of the storefronts are on some avenues that are empty. Now, I was saying I used to live at 39th and 9th up until the 25th of June, and Cuomo is possibly looking to convert these businesses that have been destroyed into apartments. For who can afford to live there now? It's more and more sounding like the Hunger Games scenario, where the ultra rich are living in the cities and the remainder of humanity, after their World Economic Forum reskilling, will be left to serve and grow food for the elites. Now, I thought that this was, let's see, so yep, Goldman Sachs and all the banksters are leaving for Florida or Texas. Well, we don't need them here. So this guy, I thought this was an interesting comment that he made. The plan is actually the opposite. The masses living in tiny apartments in stack 'em and pack 'em housing units in the mega regions of development. Nobody will own land or cars. Mass transit for all. Die to climate Due to climate change laws, there's no-go zones where nobody can enter. The remote will live on lush lands on the interior of the continent and build mansions the size of cathedrals with pillars reminiscent of ancient Egyptian temples. All their properties will be guarded by AI robots with guns. I could go on and on. I actually think that he's right. Um, but I actually do think I said could be, but I think that is stage B. And I think the final plan is the Hunger Games. In the meantime, they need to get rid of 6 billion of us, and packing them into cities to be starved makes sense. See, I think that completely makes sense. But if you listen to Ivanka Trump and the World Economic Forum's latest video about reskilling a billion folks, this is my opinion, and this is, well, it's like my hypothesis, right? I think that means the remaining 1 billion after the vaccines and the economic demolition, right? And they want the final solution to be 500 million people only on Earth, and those would probably be there to serve the elite in one way or another. Oh man, it's hard to do this on here. One way or another. Growing food, serving, maintaining the robot or the power grid and the robots. With only 500 million people, there will be very few big cities at all. And it's the bigwigs that like the opera, Broadway, fancy restaurants, etc. And I don't see them giving that up, right? Like they like to do that sort of stuff. So I see them willing us down to the Georgia Guidestones population limit as what they're working on. But that's just how I see things. That's kind of my guess. And who knows? These people are so evil. I probably can't even think on such a and this is another thing that Candace Owens put up that was good. The same people that are out here yelling, my body, my choice, will be telling you that the government has a right to force vaccinate you for a virus that has a 99% survival rate. I give it 2 months, and that's the truth. And so I said, there are also the same folks that were supposedly against the Patriot Act and the wars, yet they mysteriously folded as soon as Obama got into office. It's interesting how folks can be twisted into changing their beliefs at the drop of a hat. It happens on both sides. Those who support Trump haven't figured out that he gave $1 billion actually, he gave $14 billion to Operation Warp Speed. I was wrong. And he said he'd give use the military to distribute the vaccine. Now, some of these people are funny. Fuck off CDC.gov. Brooks says, yeah, I tell them I won't make you carry a baby to term. Don't make me get an injection. I mean, do you guys not remember when Hillary Clinton was railing on and on about the Patriot Act? And I remember thinking to myself, okay, so the Patriot Act, what happens is, if you notice, they flip flop everyone's views like every 4 years, every 4 to 8 years. So, like, the Democrats become the Republicans become the Democrats, and everybody just flip flops basically based upon the cult of personality into, what do you call it? Uh, like, basically in support of this communist world government thing we got going on here. And then this is funny.
And governors like Cuomo and Newsom have imposed restrictions on gatherings as well as a 10 p.m. curfew. But we at the science community, after looking through all the science, will also be recommending a provision where both governors can come to your house and have sex with your wife while you watch like a little bitch. Based on the science, both governors will be coming to your house a couple times a day and just tuning your wife up right nice in front of you. Under the what the f*** are you going to do about it, you little bitch clause, we will be limiting social gatherings in your bedroom to one person. Unless, of course, some of the governors are feeling randy that night. If Cuomo and Newsom double teaming your wife's raw dog saves even one life, I couldn't live with myself without posing these new restrictions. Some have said that this might be unconstitutional, but at times like this, we don't have the luxury of worrying about formalities when imposing restrictions on how many feet away from your wife you need to be while both governors take turns jackhammering her. The science community will also be demanding that your wife is showered and shaved before the governors come over for their fill, and there will be a mandatory key under the mat policy for governors to come at their convenience.
They already did this, right? Prima nocta, right? You guys remember that? This is very sad. This is a father and his child on a plane, and the child is crying and does not want to wear a mask. She's scared, and this a-hole automaton here is trying to force him to. They actually forced them off the plane, and I says masks are abuse. Forcing a child to mask is child abuse. During a family off a plane, when the father is holding her down while she's crying with his hand, forcing the mask over her face, and that's not good enough. What the fuck is wrong with everyone? How have we flown on airplanes for 100 years and never needed a mask before? But now, because the TV orders you to, you just fall in line like a good little slave. Then you force the slavery onto others and feel so proud of yourself. Look in the mirror. If this is you, you're despicable. And then some of my friends here, this guy, he has a radio station. He's a former veteran as well. And he says, and the penny telling people to mask up, love the power it makes them feel. It's disgusting, and these people don't know who they're effing with. Now, this is interesting. This guy, The Crow Show, he has another radio show. He says it took 23 years for smoking to be banned outright on U.S. airlines, all the while never needing and or requiring a mask to be worn for our protection. I'm 44 years young, and I recall flying with mommy in smoke-filled airplane cabins. At that point in time, I still am today allergic to tobacco smoke of any kind, cigarette and pipe. Me too. This mask mandate BS is nothing more than population control uniformly, and I completely agree. And I said, exactly, I have asthma, and I was absolutely miserable until they banned smoking. I never wanted to go out to eat or to a bar. I think I was 23 years old when they banned smoking in bars, and that's when I could actually go. Like, I didn't go to bars. Like, in college, everybody's like, let's go out. And I'll be like, no, I feel horrible. Like, when I go there, I can't breathe, And I said, and cigarette smoke is real, not like CV. You can smell, feel, see, and taste cigarette smoke. You can. So I thought that was really sad. And then I obviously posted that one. This one is funny here.
The best way
how to test yourself
is, to basically take probably something like a glass of wine or a beer or a whiskey, and then what you do with it is if you can smell it, you probably don't have COVID, but you probably want to, just to be 100% sure, you probably want to drink it, and if you can taste it, then you probably don't have COVID, but they do say that the more tests you can do, the better. So I'm thinking every night, I don't think I have it, but it's really important that you stay vigilant and stay safe. So I tested myself 45 times last night, and
Yeah.
the best way you can
Just
test
make
yourself.
sure, like my friend Hai Young Lao says, don't drink wine from America. Not that I don't know, some of it's okay, but like they're spraying it with tap water, right? And it's all fluoridated here. So try to get your wine from Italy or France, wherever they don't fluoridate the water if you're drinking. I'm not a big drinker. I have like, I don't know, I probably average a glass of wine a month. I'm not a big drinker. I do like my red wine though. Now, see, here we go. COVID wasn't that bad. I had it. My wife had it. 2 daughters. Fever, chills, nausea, headache. Yeah, that's everyone gets a cold almost every year. I lost a sense of taste for 10 days. Well, that's because you can't smell anything. It is a strong flu. I live in Norway. My uncle lives in Las Vegas. He has COVID now. He has milder symptoms. My neighbor's grandma unfortunately died of COVID. She was 97. This is what we were told. Yeah, and they told us my uncle, who he died back in April. I think I made a video about that. His a-hole gold digger wife threw him into a nursing home to get rid of him so she could steal the remainder of his money because he's a multimillionaire. And he actually got up and he was alone for 3 months and he had a stroke / heart attack, changing the channel of the TV. And he actually died like on his knees changing the TV, and his head was like on the, like the table that the TV's on. And then they called it COVID. And we talked to him like the night before, and he had no respiratory infection whatsoever. He had perfect speech, and you can't talk when you have a real respiratory infection. It takes away your lung pressure. So this is like all the bullshit they're up to. So they called him COVID. They called my boss's sister-in-law COVID, even though she had emphysema, COPD. They renamed emphysema to COPD. I guess it doesn't sound as bad. And if you wear a mask, I think wearing a mask for 10 months probably killed her, and I don't know how long she'd had emphysema or whatever, but if you wear a mask, right, you're constantly breathing in bacteria and keeping it in your body. The body is never, that's how the body works, right? You exhale the bad stuff, you inhale, hopefully the good stuff, except for, we're being poisoned all the time. So, and then they tell you it's COVID and then you're scared. And this is what they're doing to everyone. And I can prove it. Now, let's go over here. Oh yeah, guys that still believe in these people. All right, so here, this was from March. This IDPH director, she explained how COVID deaths are classified, and this is the article. If you were in hospice and already been given a few weeks to live, and then you were also found to have COVID, that would have been counted as a COVID death. It means technically, even if you died of a clear alternate cause, but you had COVID at the same time, it's still listed as a COVID death. So everyone who's listed as a COVID death doesn't mean that was the cause of death, but they had COVID at the time of death. And I was amazed at how many comments I got, and likes. This is like the most likes I think I've ever gotten in the whole time. Most people ignore my post, or they're shadow banning, and who knows. So anyways, there were a lot of people. Here we go. See, this guy, his mom had heart problems for 5 years, got to the point where the hospice, right, means you're dying. It's over. When she passed, they tried to list her death as COVID. Oddly enough, she never had COVID. Turns out they actually make money. So interesting, right? Everybody's got a story like this. Now, this is so important, okay? This article from the British Medical Journal, if you guys haven't seen it, I know I posted about it, but this is one of our U.S. flu deaths figures more PR than science. See, they tell you 36,000 or 66,000 every year die from flu, and it's a lie. Between 1979 and 2002, NCHS data shows an average of 1,348 flu deaths per year. what they did is they add in pneumonia deaths. They add in bacterial pneumonia deaths. And these 1,348 people, right? Listen to this. Meanwhile, the CDC's National Center for Health Statistics, influenza and pneumonia took 62,034 lives in 2001, 61,777 of which were attributed to pneumonia, and 257 to flu, and in only 18 cases was flu virus positively identified. Between 1979 and 2002, NCHS data shows an average of 1,348 flu deaths per year. They have been lying this whole time. I mean, the lies, it's like decades and centuries of lies piled and piled and piled on, right? So, like, our whole world is bullshit. It's just all, everything you believe, whatever they tell you is bullshit. And this talks about why are they putting, people don't necessarily, this is from David Rosenthal, director of the Harvard University Health Services, says people don't necessarily die per se of the flu virus, the viremia. What they die of is a secondary pneumonia. So many of these pneumonias are not viral pneumonias, but secondary, which means bacterial or fungal. But Dr. Rosenthal agreed that the flu pneumonia relationship was not unique. For instance, a recent study in the Journal of American Medicine found that stomach acid suppressing drugs are associated with a higher risk of community acquired pneumonia. But such drugs and pneumonia are not compiled as a single statistic. And the reason why this is when you suppress your stomach acid, it's so evil. Like, all right, you have heartburn, you go to the doctor, they say, oh, you have too much stomach acid, and they give you a stomach acid suppressing drug, which actually makes you worse. It makes you aspirate acid up into your throat, and some of it even goes into your lungs, and that's how you get the pneumonia, right? If you have heartburn, your problem is your stomach is not at 1.5 pH like it's supposed to be. You're eating too much plants, and you're making your stomach too basic, and you cannot digest, because human beings are not cows. And I know that's another video I need to do about how about human digestion versus herbivores. So that's what I said in this post. There's an average of 1,348 flu deaths per year in America from 1979 until 2002. So where are the other 66,000 or so deaths coming from that they tell you on the news are flu deaths? And that's pneumonia. Bacterial pneumonia deaths are counted as flus. I couldn't believe I got 11 people to like that. Now, very few people watch this. And this is what I was talking about on the other. This is the World Economic Forum talking about reskilling 1 billion of us. So what are they going to do with the rest of us, right? And of course, Ivanka Trump is on the board, right? Anyways, it's probably not going to play, but that's all right. You guys can watch. Oh, there it goes. See, look at all these traitors.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Adrian Monk from the World Economic Forum. Welcome to this press conference on the reskilling revolution, better skills for 1 billion people by 2030. So almost twice as many jobs can be created than lost by the fourth industrial revolution. You have heard in the press conference just preceded us about the climate change challenge we face here. We also face a jobs challenge.
Yeah, climate change challenge, job challenge, fourth industrial revolution. Look up the book.
If we're to meet that other part of the theme of this annual meeting, which is about cohesion, social cohesion, giving people opportunities. So this press conference is going to explore that and really lay out some quite exciting ways in which we can tackle that issue.
There. All right. So this is another bad thing I saw. Mandatory vaccine bill. Sorry, y'all. My computer's acting weird today. All right, come on. So this is in the New York Senate by Representative Rosenthal. This I already posted for you guys. Here, this is Lincoln. He did a new video this morning, Lincoln Karim. He did a new video about Mount Sinai. And there's nothing going on there still. In fact, it looks bad, like God, I don't know what's up with this computer. It probably has viruses. This is my mom's computer. So anyways, so he went around, and I actually went with him, and we were, what's going on here? Who's doing all this?